just an hour after the polls close. Waters has 55% of the vote.
Lakeisha Burton is taking the stage right now.
You worked long and hard, and you inspired me every step of the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you alone does not do justice to what you have given me. Sheriff-elect Waters started his campaign saying we were headed in the right direction. Here is where we were victorious. Along the way, he changed out for him, and I am still here. As he moves into his new role, I know I not only encourage him to keep his commitment to change, but also I offer him my help to make that happen, because I am not going anywhere. Because I remain committed to you, the people. That's why I got in this race. To serve you in whatever capacity you will have me in, and to ensure that the gap between the community and the police force is, because I am still here. This is not the end. No, it's not. We must hold all of our elected officials accountable to making our community safer. We must hold this new leadership at JSO accountable to keep our officers safe and healthy. We must also ensure that the new sheriff spends our money wisely instead of wasting it on failed programs and strategies that don't work. And most of all, we must never stop demanding that TK Waters takes care of all ALL of Jacksonville citizens. My love for this community goes on, and I will stay involved. Thank you again for all you have done, and I hope that you will continue this work with me to keep our community strong. It may take more time, but we can do it together. And my final comments, that's not on this list, because I'm a talker. I want you to look at this room. I've been on the campaign trail for 18 months, and this city is deeply divided. Deeply. We have two cities in one. And through my candidacy over the last 18 months, God has shown me and shown us what we can do when we come together. So I'm very proud that I have the most diverse support in demographics, party lines. This campaign has blessed so many. But it can't stop here. When we leave out these doors, this unity that we feel and we see, we need to take that forward. It is so many people in this city that need us, and we need to be people like the example that we've been for the last 18 months. And I just have to say thank you to my best friend, my husband. It wasn't easy for my husband to keep quiet when his wife was being attacked. But I told him I got it. It wasn't easy for my dad to see his daughter being attacked. But I told him I got it. Because all that was said about me is not who I am. Those are things that happened to me that made me who I am today. So I'm very proud, and I have no regrets about the way that we responded and that we ran our race. And where's Marlo? Marlo, Zarka. Y'all give it up for Marlo. And the core team that's here, they have shown tremendous, extraordinary courage. And that is what we're gonna need to make our world, our community better. So everybody said, what's next, what's next? What's next? I'm about to get me something to eat. I'm gonna get me some rest. So you want to say anything? Okay, my husband wanted to say one thing.
It goes without saying how deeply proud I am.
All right, you've been hearing Lakeisha Burton conceding defeat tonight, but pledging support to TK Waters.
Some other races have been called, and Joy Purdy has that for us. Joy?
That's right. The Associated Press has just called the state of Florida for Governor DeSantis. 57% to Charlie Crist's 42%. Excuse me, right now we have 61% of the precincts reporting tonight, 73% of the estimated total vote, which includes absentee ballots, early voting. Wait until you see what has happened here. We're going to be able to compare how all of these counties voted the last time the governor ran for office in 2018. I'll tap on that in just a moment. Let me zoom into our area. Take a look at the red here. Alachua County, we are looking at 61%. Ron DeSantis is 38%. The rest, very red, but we're going to tap on these heat totals to see exactly how strong these areas voted for Ron DeSantis. Take a look at Duval County here. Even though it's very light, still voting for Ron DeSantis, 55% to Charlie Crist's 44%. Nassau County, a deep red, 78 to 22%. Baker County, 89 to 10%. Let's look at Clay, 75 to 24. St. Johns County, 70 to 30. I want to show you something very quickly here. Let me take that heat map off and look at how this area voted 4 years ago. Democratic in Duval County. So that has flipped. When Duval County, when DeSantis was against Gillum won 52% to 47%. Now, tonight, we are looking at Duval County, once again, 55% to Charlie Crist's 44%. Something else very interesting I want you to take a look at is this I-4 corridor. Two more areas I want to show you. This I-4 corridor here. Typically, Orlando, Orange County votes Democrat. We're going to look at those numbers very quickly. Let me take the telestrator off. Look at Orlando, Orange County, 53% for Charlie Crist, 46% for DeSantis. Most of the vote has been counted. But this is what's interesting. Take a look at Hillsborough County, which typically votes Democrat. 54% for Ron DeSantis, 45% for Crist. If we go back to 2018 and take a look at those same numbers, Andrew Gillum won. Those numbers were flipped. He won 54% to DeSantis's 45% in Hillsborough County. Back to tonight, you can see how that has changed. DeSantis has won Hillsborough County, and we're going to take a look at Southeast Florida. West Palm, 50% for DeSantis. Right down the middle here, it looks like 50% for Crist, with most of the vote in Broward, usual Democratic stronghold here. Charlie Crist, 62% of the vote. DeSantis, 38%. What is interesting is Miami-Dade. Take a look at how Miami-Dade has voted, with most of the vote counted tonight. Still some ways to go. But DeSantis has won 54% to Charlie Crist's 45%. I want to show you how this area voted 4 years ago. When DeSantis was up against Andrew Gillum, it was 60% Democrat, 38% Republican. That has changed. Democrat all up and down that Southeast Florida. Miami-Dade, as we take one final look, 54% to Charlie Crist's 45%. I am going to let the experts figure out what all this means. We're going to take it back to the roundtable. Tom, Mary, Kent?
Joy, thank you. If it seems to you like it's been a long time since a Democrat has ousted a Republican incumbent in a statewide race here in Florida, you're right. It was 1990 when Lawton Chiles defeated Governor Bob Martinez. That's how long it has been. The streak continues with Ron DeSantis tonight.
We want to go live now to Scott Johnson, who is in Tampa at the Tampa Convention Center at DeSantis campaign headquarters. Has celebrating begun yet, Scott?
Yes, it has. They've been screaming nonstop, and I'm frankly surprised I could hear you. They've been so excited in the last 5 minutes or so since the race was called for Governor Ron DeSantis. He has been reelected as Florida's governor for a second term. He is someone who has brought a lot of controversy in dealing with COVID and different social issues, but he has drawn a lot of support. He is winning right now in the numbers by double digits. Keep in mind, when I was here with him in Orlando, it was 4 years ago, it was only around 30,000 votes or so. A narrow margin of victory for Governor DeSantis, a relatively new politician at the time. He'd only been in Congress. He was elected governor one time by that thin margin against Andrew Gillum. Now, 4 years later, against an established politician in Charlie Crist, DeSantis has had a decisive victory. It looks at this point like it will be a double-digit victory, which indicates, as I talked to News4JAX's political analyst Rick Mullaney about yesterday, a red wave in Florida to have that be so decisive. They're showing more on the screen again right now about Ron DeSantis, so there's a lot of excitement about it. There are questions, though. Will he do a full 4 years? Will he decide to run for president? There are some public comments between the Trump camp and DeSantis over whether or not he should run for president or do his full 4 years here. It was a criticism from Charlie Crist for him during the debates on whether or not he was dedicated to Florida for 4 more years. Ron DeSantis saying, my only goal is to put one Democrat out to pasture. He was pointing at Charlie Crist, not saying it that nicely. But that is kind of where we're at right now. The crowd is jazzed. The crowd is a lot bigger than what I remember 4 years ago in Orlando. And they're excited. He is going to get another term as the governor of Florida. We're live at the Tampa Convention Center. Scott Johnson, Channel 4, the local station.
That is a big venue, Scott.
Wow, that's loud.
They hosted the 2012 Republican National Convention there, so it's a big venue where they're doing this. Let's talk about this. A lot has happened right now, and maybe start right there. Governor, we talked about how big the margin would be if he won tonight, and it's a big one.
It's a really big one. This is historic. It's stunning. A little bit of context on history. Charlie Crist ran in 2014 and lost by 1% to Rick Scott. In 2018, Governor DeSantis won by a quarter point. This victory tonight, more than double digits, is really enormous. It is. One question we posed yesterday, would there be a red wave in Florida? Clearly, it appears there is a red wave in Florida. Don't necessarily mean this is representative of the rest of the country. Florida has really shifted. The demographics have shifted. It's trending red. Remember, President Trump won Florida by more than 3 points in 2020. The country, however, went for Joe Biden. Florida clearly trending red. Big, big night. Governor DeSantis, Marco Rubio, TK Waters. We'll hear about the congressional districts later, but this is a historic and stunning victory for Governor DeSantis and, who knows, a potential launching pad for whatever he has in his future.
Yeah, so John, Chris, we can talk about any of these things that Rick just mentioned. A lot of information coming in right here in this 8 o'clock hour.
I think it's a confluence of the lack of Democratic turnout and the shifting of the body politic in South Florida towards conservatism. I'm not so sure that it's just totally the numbers in terms of being more conservatives and Republicans that came out. I think it's a combination of those numbers that came out to vote and the Democratic vote that did not show up tonight.
Yeah, Christiane, one of the things that I noticed when it was so close 4 years ago, there was a really big effort by Republicans over these last few years to generate more registrations, get more voters on the rolls, and that really seems to have made a difference.
I think there were a lot of ingredients that went into this victory, and it's the biggest margin in a Florida gubernatorial race in 20 years since Jeb Bush defeated Bill McBride in 2002. So as both Rick and John said, it is a win of historic proportions. Several ingredients went into this. One is the one you claimed. Just last year, for the first time in decades, Republicans took a voter registration advantage in this state and have continued to add to that. That's partially been helped by new residents moving into Florida who have, by large numbers, registered more Republican than Democrat. So that's an ingredient on the Republican side, more voters, more, and probably better turnout efforts. On the Democratic side, as the perception has grown that Florida is less of a swing state and more of a red state. That has meant fewer resources coming into Florida to help with things like voter turnout and voter registration, so help to widen that gap. So those are the types of ingredients that have led to this double-digit victory tonight.
Well, Governor DeSantis had an enormous war chest, a lot of money that was generated, didn't have to spend all of it in order to turn out big numbers.
But outspent, Chris, in terms of TV advertising alone, $55 million to $5 million.
Incredible.
Well, and overall, $200 million raised versus $30 million raised in this race. So as you say, Tom, the disparity is just massive.
And how much does DeSantis have left over?
Well, I think we're about to find out over the next 2 years. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep it in perspective historically. Governor DeSantis raised more money than any governor in the history of the United States of America. That's how big that war chest is. He's got his eyes on the future. It was historic what he raised, and it is a historic victory for him. Just no question about that.
TK Waters now is speaking. We want to take you live now and hear his speech.
Robin, kids, grandkids, could y'all please come up here with me, please? Dad? Where's my dad? Dad, where you at? Did he leave? Oh, there he is. And my kids and grandkids. This is a family affair. So, there you go. Listen. There she is. So, I'll tell you, first of all, and I'm going to say it again, there's no way that I'm here without my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. There's no way that we make it to this moment without Him. And there's no way that we make it to this moment without my beautiful wife, my family, my dad who, listen, the example is right there. This is my dad, love him to death, Command Sergeant Major, retired in the Army. Beautiful sons, my grandkids. It's just a great night. And then, of course, all my friends. Listen, we have a great team. And it's an amazing team. And without that team, we could not have accomplished anything. And I can tell you, there is no way that you do something like this on your own. You need good people around you, a strong team. But now the campaign is over. Now it's time to get to work. It's time to get to work to take care of the citizens of this community. Take care of our officers in our agency. A good culture to make better. We're going to do that. We're going to take care of the people in our city because it's absolutely the best city in the entire world. And I'm convinced of that. I think I told everyone on the campaign trail that I love Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's the very best city in the world. We're going to take care of it. And I promise you this, I won't rest until we make sure everyone has the ability to live in this city safely, peacefully, and thrive in the great city of Jacksonville. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your vote. I appreciate it. So, I've been hesitant to talk about this part, but you know, when I first started this thing, when I first got appointed to an assistant chief, my son, who Tommy, he said, "Dad, I think you'll be a great sheriff." I said, "Hey, slow down, son." I said, "It's a little too quick for that. I'm just now getting started in this administrative path." But I want to say, Tommy, we did it, man. And I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to make every member of this community proud. Stand strong, stand tall for Jacksonville. Thank you very much for coming out, and I appreciate it.
TK Waters surrounded by family and supporters there, accepting the role as the next Jacksonville sheriff. And Mayor Lenny Curry just tweeted this, saying, "Congrats to my friend TK Waters on winning the special to become Jacksonville's next sheriff. Well done, and looking forward to continuing to work together. Proud to call you my friend and looking forward to a bright future for Jax."
And in case you're just joining us, Lakeisha Burton conceded to TK Waters at 8 o'clock. Here's what she had to say.
I believe that my opponent has the lead. He has enough to be able to call it a victory for him. I just got off the phone with him to congratulate him and extend my services and my expertise for him. So I want to get right to it. This has been quite the journey. But before I say that, I want y'all to lift your heads up high. We have everything to be proud of. Just look around this room. We represent what community is, what humanity is, and I'm so glad to be with you this evening.
As soon as the election is certified, TK Waters will be sworn in as the next sheriff. And as many of you know, the city elections are coming up again in the spring. And TK Waters will have to defend his job as sheriff, assuming he wants to run for a full 4-year term. Now, almost 36 seats in the Senate are on the line in this midterm election. Stacey Spanos will update those races that are expected to decide the balance of power on Capitol Hill. That's next.
Our special Vote 2022 election night coverage continues. Stay with us.